Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving into visible learning practice number 4, teaching students to drive their learning. This is part 2 for signature practice number 4. We're going to explore how to empower students to truly own their learning journey. Let's jump in. Our learning intention is clear. We're learning to empower students to drive their learning. And how will we know we've got it? Here's our success criteria. By the end of this session, you'll be able to help students recognize where they are, where they're going, and how to embrace the challenge of learning. In visible learning, effect size tells us how much impact a strategy has on student learning. Think of it like a score. Higher means better. An average effect size is about 0.4, which equals a full year of growth in a year. So when a practice has an effect size of 0.96, it's not just good, it's amazing. This strategy has the potential of more than 2 years worth of learning in 1 year. It means the strategy is super powerful and can make a real difference in how much students grow. In short, 0.96 equals learning rocket fuel. Let's kick things off by revisiting the engagement continuum. Students dynamically move through this continuum for a variety of reasons. Think about it. Where do your students typically fall? Are they actively participating, driving their learning, or perhaps sometimes disengaging? Our job is to help them recognize where they are on this continuum and help them move forward. It's hard to know where you are going if you don't know where you are. Students should be informed of their current levels of understanding or performance. It should not be a secret, nor should it be a source of shame or embarrassment. Take a minute to read this quote by John Hattie. There are 3 important components to empower learners to know their current level of understanding. Taking time for conferencing is time well spent. Teachers should strive to meet for 10% of students daily, allowing them to meet with everyone over the course of 2 weeks. These short conversations should focus on strengths and current level of understanding. Before starting a lesson or unit, teachers should determine what students already know about the topic. A brief assessment will help students understand where they are in their learning journey and where they need to go. Checklists and rubrics are samples of tools students can use to self-assess. I can statements can be turned into can I questions that allow students to evaluate what they learned. Let's delve deeper into teacher actions that foster students' recognition of their current level of understanding. Conferencing with students about their interpretation of data. It's about making the data meaningful to them. Devoting time to student self-assessment or initial assessments. This isn't an add-on, it's an essential part of the learning process. Identifying success criteria and inviting students to identify which of these will be difficult for them. This builds ownership and preparedness, creating a climate of risk-taking and understanding that learning occurs across a continuum. Mistakes are simply opportunities for growth. On the flip side, we need to be aware of teacher actions that derail students' recognition of their current level of understanding. These include hiding data from students. Transparency is key. Experiences that shame or humiliate students based on their current level of understanding. This shuts down learning. Shortchanging the amount of time required for students to self-assess. We need to give them the space to reflect. Publicly comparing students based on their current levels of understanding. This creates unnecessary competition and anxiety. When students have access to learning intentions and success criteria, they have a sense of where they are going. When they also know their current level of performance, they can compare that with the destination. With these two aspects in place, current levels of understanding and a destination, students are much more likely to take on the challenge of learning. The terms difficulty and complexity seem to be used interchangeably, but in fact, they are two different concepts. Difficulty is a measure of the amount of effort, time, or work needed, while complexity is a measure of the number of cognitive steps or potential outcomes. The tasks we design for students should balance difficulty and complexity. In order for learners to understand where they're going and have the confidence to take on the challenge, we need students to exercise strategic thinking, which is an easy task, but has high complexity. They should also be able to encounter situations where they struggle, which is both highly difficult and is highly complex. We want students to increase their fluency in completing tasks, which is easy and less complex. And finally, we want students to build their stamina. This is difficult, but less complex. Now, for the teacher actions that foster students' knowledge about where they are going and encourage them to accept the challenge of learning. Planning instruction, including accurate explanations, examples, and guided practice. A clear path is a confident path. Allocating time during instruction for students to understand the path of learning and self-assess their current progression. Providing choice in how students demonstrate mastery of the success criteria. This empowers them to own their learning. Promoting academic self-efficacy by creating high trust among students who know it is okay to make mistakes. This builds a safe learning environment. Using student interest to develop learning experiences that resonate with them. Relevance fuels engagement. And finally, the teacher actions that derail students' knowledge about where they are going and discourage them from accepting the challenge of learning. Asking students to set goals without the teacher having a clear understanding of the goal. We need to be partners in goal setting. Expecting students to monitor their progress without providing a model for how to self-assess. Show them how it's done. Expecting students to monitor progress and set goals without providing time and opportunities to monitor success against the success criteria. Practice makes perfect, and practice needs time. Not recognizing that each year the students have different interests and unique identities. Our approach needs to be flexible and responsive. Let's circle back to our learning intention and success criteria. Where do you feel you are now? Can you develop students' recognition of their current level of understanding? Can you develop students' knowledge about where they are going and encourage them to accept the challenge of learning? This micro course focused on signature practice number 4, which is one of 11 practices under the umbrella of visible learning. You just completed the second micro course for visible learning signature practice number 4, teaching students to drive their learning. The next micro course will focus on learners select tools to guide their learning and learners monitoring progress to adjust their learning. Thank you for joining me.